Are you wanting to start running Facebook advertising? Or maybe you ran Facebook advertising and you're not really too sure where to start because there's just so much advice out there. Well, today I want to share with you 5 of the worst pieces of advice when it comes to Facebook advertising. Hey, what's going on? My name is Tim. I'm one of the co-founders here at Scary Good Marketing, where we take the fear out of marketing and advertising your business using battle-tested strategies and creativity to bring you a better ROI. And today I want to dive into probably the 5 worst pieces of advice that I see when it comes to running Facebook advertising. Now, we've been running Facebook advertising since 2016, and we have pretty much worked with a bunch of different businesses in a few different industries, everyone from small local mom and pop shops all the way up to a few Fortune 500 companies. You name it, we've probably worked with them in some capacity. And what I want to do is really go through these 5 pieces of advice that I see people talking about or businesses bring to us whenever they are looking at doing advertising and they ask us about these certain things. Now, starting off with bad piece of advice, number 1 is boosting posts. Now, if you talk about this, if you talk to marketing experts and all kinds of people out there, they always tell you you should never boost a post. You should always go into the ad manager and run your ads there. And now, this is probably one of the most controversial topics when it comes to running Facebook advertising. But the thing that a lot of people miss is that boosting posts are actually really effective. Now, with that being said, that does not mean that you should boost a post. We look at it as what is the objective that you're trying to go after, as well as what is your audience. Because these 2 factors are really going to determine how well your boosted post actually works. So I stand on the side that yes, you should boost posts, but you should know why and when to actually boost posts. Now, with that said, boosting a Facebook post is not going to be as powerful as running an ad through the ads manager, because boosting a post is a more stripped down version of the ads manager. So you don't have as many targeting options. You can't get as granular like you do in the business manager. But when should you actually boost a post? So there's really 2 parts of this. Number 1 is understanding your audience. Now, where we really see the value in being able to boost a post is if you have a Facebook page that has quite a bit of people. Because if you boost a post and you only have maybe 100 people that like your page, you're probably not going to see as big of a return on that post. And really, because the thing is, with boosted posts, a lot of the times it is looking at your already existing audience on Facebook, and it's going to start serving it to the people that like your Facebook page. Even if you tell it that you want to go and search for these people and do that kind of stuff, it's going to look at your Facebook page first to try and figure out who to serve it to the best. So if you don't have a big Facebook page that you're boosting it out to, you're maybe not going to see the best results. Now, with that also being said, you have to realize that boosted posts, the way that we look at them, are things for announcements or even just testing out an idea, testing out a certain kind of ad in a creative, because you're essentially tapping into your warm audience, right? People that already like you and like your page and that have been engaging with you. That's who your boosted post is going to go out to first, and then if you start to see engagement, you start to see that, then Facebook is going to start pushing it to maybe friends of those people, people somewhat similar to them. It's not just going to go out and start going after a cold audience right off the bat. Now, you can set it up that way, but to me, if you're going to want to go after a cold audience and have all of that targeting, you want to go and just set it up in the Facebook Ads Manager, because like I said, you can get a lot more granular, you can do a lot more of those things. And Realistically, that's what the ad manager is for. Boosted posts work fantastically well, like I said, if you meet these two requirements and you understand these things and realize that you are not going to essentially make the majority of your money. You're not going to, it's not I would say a long-term strategy of just boosting posts. It's really a way to test advertising. It's really a way to test different offers because you're putting it out to kind of a warm market and see the response. And if these boosted posts do really well, they get a lot of engagement, then what I would do is go into the ads manager and create that and use that as an ad. So that's pretty much how we view boosting posts. Now moving on to bad advice number 2 is thinking that posting in a group is an ad. Now, taking a regular post that you have on your page and just spamming it and literally being part of hundreds of different local groups or groups that you're a part of and just spamming it in there, that is not an ad. Now, I really bring this up because when we work with a lot of small businesses, they have the mindset, and you might have this as well, and I understand where you're coming from, is if I post something, I need to get it out to as many people as possible, so I join these groups, and these could be, local support community groups, these could be business networking groups, these could be Chamber of Commerce groups, these could be, there's all kinds of these groups out there. But the problem is whenever you do that and you take that piece of content and you literally just spam it in a bunch of groups like that, it actually ends up hurting your Facebook post and that kind of stuff. Because sometimes what happens is if you've ever been scrolling through Facebook and you see that this content cannot be displayed, a lot of times it's because if you're going and you're sharing that thing or you're literally just copying and pasting it into a bunch of groups, Facebook recognizes that there is something weird going on because one is if your page really doesn't get that much engagement and then all of a sudden this one post is being shared 15 times and you're the only one that is sharing it, it's not being shared by multiple people, it looks at that as spam, and that's why your posts continue to lose even more organic reach. Granted, organic reach is only is less than 2%, but by you doing this, it's knocking you down to maybe 0.5%, and a lot of people don't realize this. So one is, don't think that making a post on your Facebook page and then literally just sharing it in every single group, that is an ad. That is not an ad. What I classify an ad is a post that you create or a back-end advertisement and you actually spend money to promote it. So if you are not spending money to actually promote that post, it's not an ad. It's just a post. So with that being said, let's move on to bad advice number 3. So bad advice number 3 is only running traffic ads. Now, if you have gone through our beginner's guide to Facebook advertising, if you haven't, I will put a link right here where you can go and watch that, where we really show you how you can go from knowing nothing about running your ads to getting and setting up and running your very first ad. So if that's something that you want to learn, like I said, we have a video right here. But in that video, we talk about running traffic campaigns. And essentially a traffic campaign is where you put your link to where you want somebody to go, they click that link, and then they go there. And that's a traffic campaign. Now, there's also conversion-based campaigns, which you have to have Facebook pixels and all kinds of more technical things that aren't difficult to do, but it takes a little bit more time. So if you're really only running these 2 types of campaigns, and I'm going to say both of these campaigns, then you are severely underutilizing the platform, because there are a lot of different ways to run advertisements. And the thing that people, I feel like, always want to do is just run ads and immediately see an ROI. And there's nothing wrong with that, but if that is the only way that you think about advertising, you're really narrowing your success when it comes to advertising, because I believe that you should be running brand building campaigns, right? And brand building campaigns allow you to go and reach as many people as possible. And that's all its objective is to do, is go and reach as many people as possible. Because the thing is I think that a lot of times people forget, just because you put an ad, you want to drive as many clicks, you want to do all of that stuff, sometimes people aren't going to buy from you because they don't know you yet. And you need to build that knowing before they're going to buy, right? And yes, you can sometimes piggyback and you can really just jump over that step. But if you aren't really doing that, I think you're missing a big thing. And if you look at big brands like Coca-Cola, Nike, Amazon, they have a brand building campaigns, and there is a reason for that, because sometimes brand building campaigns, they're really set up for the long haul, and it's not always as easy to track, hey, when somebody saw this ad, how long did it take maybe for them to actually buy, right? How long did it do? They're harder to track and that kind of stuff, and I think that that's why some advertisers and some companies just don't even do them at all, because they feel like they're putting money into something and they're not really seeing that immediate return. And realistically, I think that you should have brand building campaigns. The same thing, there's messenger ad campaigns. You should be running text message campaigns. You could be running call campaigns. There's so many different campaigns out there. I mean, there is even offline campaigns. And if you're just running those campaigns because that's what everybody says, I think that you're really doing you, your brand, and ultimately the legacy that you want to build with your brand a disservice. Like I said, just because you can't see an immediate ROI with some of these campaigns does not mean you shouldn't run them. So now moving on to bad advice number 4 is sometimes being way too targeted. Now, this kind of has a little bit of a caveat, because this is really more for the small business, the local company that's running stuff locally, because sometimes what I see is people get so excited because there's so many there's so much that you can do with targeting, and you can really drill down. But what ends up happening is sometimes in a local market, being a little bit broader can actually serve you sometimes better. And we've seen this, and we've tested a bunch of different campaigns where sometimes when we have drilled down too much, we actually don't end up seeing the results that we want from an ad, because it's just showing to a very small market of people, when realistically, if we broaden it out, the same kind of ad creative copy can appeal to a local market. And I think that that's one of the benefits to a degree when it comes to a local market, is you can be a little bit more broad. Your messaging doesn't have to be exactly on point sometimes. Of course, you need to have good messaging, but it's a little bit more forgiving. Now, if you are trying to compete on essentially a national level or even a worldwide level, then yes, sometimes I think that drilling down in your targeting can be beneficial, but there's also a bit of a caveat there, because I think that sometimes people drill down in their targeting, but they don't drill down in their messaging. And that's why you don't end up seeing the results that you want. So keep those things in mind. Like I said, if you're more in a local market, you may be drilling down your ads too much, and that's why you're not seeing those results. And now finally, number 5 is that it just costs too much. And this is something that I believe is, whether it's Facebook, Pinterest, any of those, a lot of times people just complain that it costs too much money to advertise. And what I always like to ask people is, how much money do you think it is costing you to not advertise, right? Because if you don't have your brand at least going out there and people seeing your brand consistently, how much money do you think it's costing you to not do that, right? Because it's just like anything. If people don't know you exist, or even if they know you exist, but they keep forgetting about you because your competitor continuously shows up, who do you think they're going to go with, right? The example that I always give is Domino's Pizza, right? Domino's Pizza is like religious at putting out marketing material, and I see their marketing material all the time on multiple platforms. And the thing is some of these campaigns are just brand building campaigns. They have nothing to do with, hey, click this thing, get this offer, do whatever. But I guarantee you, anytime that I think about getting pizza, they're the first ones that pop into my head. And it's because I see them consistently. And that's really what you want. Is marketing and advertising, I believe, is more about consistency than having a one-off ad that's just going to blow up your business, right? You want to be consistent, because with consistency, you're going to see the results, right? Because a lot of times I see companies, like I said, whether they're mom and pop shops, all the way up to Fortune 500 companies, they want to run one ad campaign and it just to blow up their business and see massive results, and then maybe they'll keep running ads. But it really never works that way. A lot of the times, the first ad that you run is probably not going to be successful. It's very unlikely that it's going to be successful. And really where the success comes is iterating on it, changing it, making those tweaks, but having stuff going out consistently. Because like I said, maybe the thing is that somebody saw your ad, they clicked on it, and then something happened, right? Maybe they were standing in line at the grocery store, and then it was their turn to check out, right? They were interested, but they just didn't follow through because something interrupted them. Now you need to be consistently getting in front of them to remind them, hey, don't forget about this thing. Don't forget about us. You were interested. Here's more opportunities to come back. Because the thing is, I think a lot of people just automatically assume that their customer is in the perfect situation. You know, they're sitting down maybe at their computer. They're, the only thing that they're going to focus on is you, your offer, your brand, what you have. And let's face it, that never happens, right? Even if you're sitting down at your desk, you may get a phone call and it may be something way more important. You leave, you come back, and then you're like, wait, what was I doing again? Those things happen, and I think that people don't take that into consideration when they're advertising. So those are really the 5 worst pieces of advice that I have seen, that I have heard other people talk to us about, and say, oh, somebody out there said that we shouldn't do this, or this is what we should do. And really, marketing and advertising is something that is very unique to you, your brand, your business, even though a lot of the concepts are very universal. I feel like sometimes you have to craft things to be for your business, right? Not everything that you do is exactly like you do with your competitors, and that's where marketing and advertising comes in to help people understand that, right? And really, I think that that's the big thing with marketing and advertising. It is a form of educating your buyer. With that being said, I hope that you learned something in this video today. And what I would like is for you to leave a comment of maybe some bad advice that you have gotten, whether it be Facebook advertising or just in your business in general. I would love to know what kind of weird things people are saying out there, because like I said, that just helps us understand what people are kind of telling you, maybe some of those things that aren't really the best fit for your business. Because like I said, that's what we're all about, is helping you understand marketing and advertising. And like I said, really taking the fear out of marketing and advertising your business. So like I said, leave a comment in the comment section below. Like I said, whether it's Facebook, bad Facebook advice that you've gotten, or even just general business advice. Like I said, I'd love to see your comments down below. So until next time, I want to thank you for watching this video. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe and go ahead and hit that like button.